What's going on YouTube? It's Matt Faircloth. So I'm here with my man Dave Mitro, construction and asset manager for Derosa. What's up, brother? So Dave, we're heading to Baltimore, man. Where are we going? What are we gonna go look at?
We have a 110 unit property right outside Baltimore. We are in what's called the best and final stage now.
What's that mean?
Well, I think there are around 17, 18 people that put in bids.
Yeah.
And now there are 6 or 7 remaining in what's called best and final. So this means sharpen your pencil, take another trip down here, and come up with your final offer. Come with your best foot forward now.
Right, because guys, buying an apartment building is such a fun process. You typically have to do it twice. And analyze the deal, look over the numbers, walk the site, come up with your absolute best price that you can do to get the deal. And the seller says, that's awesome. We're gonna take the top 25% cream of the creme de la creme and get them to bid again. Trying to squeeze more money out of the buyers. And that's pretty much what this is all about. But hey, these are the rules, so we gotta play the game. So we have made best and final. We're down here to go look at this property, and we're gonna go and do a site walk. Dave, what are some things that you're gonna be looking at while you're walking the site to determine if we can increase our bid or if it's a deal that we want to do? What are some things that you're gonna be looking at? Because Dave will be managing this asset as a Derosa team asset manager if we do win the bid. So Dave, what are you gonna be looking for while we're here?
So like we said, this is when you sharpen up your pencil. So we have a number in mind right now to spend on our CapEx, our renovations, both interior, exterior. So now it's the time where we want to go in and get that number as accurate and precise as possible, because that can make all the difference in, the max that we can offer for this property. Do we eventually get it, or do we lose the deal because of it? Yep. So we want to go through, as many units as they'll let us, and really sharpen the pencil and see, what do we want to do in this unit? Do we want to put in new flooring? Do we want to add a washer and dryer? Does it make sense to do that? New appliances. So that's what I really want to focus on today, and see what we come up with.
So this is how you sharpen up your pencil on a multifamily deal when you need to, guys. You are looking at what are the capital improvements I need to make to increase the revenue on the property. So if I put a washer dryer hookup in, what's that going to cost me and how much more money can I make? The second question you're going to learn by looking at other competitive properties in the market. The first question, what's it going to cost me? Well, you should have some industry experience on this. We believe installing a washer dryer hookup in a unit, including plumbing, venting it outside, all that should run somewhere between $1,500 to $2,000. I need to see it because I need to know if the place I want to put that washer dryer is going to be on an exterior wall, because that's going to be a big factor for me to determine on cost. So those are things we're going to look at, is the capital improvements that you want to make versus the return that you're going to get. You guys got to look for some deferred maintenance. Hopefully there's not a ton here, but you're going to look for things the seller didn't do and things that we're going to have to do to tighten up, to button up. One thing that we want to do is the current leasing office is in an apartment. It's very common in multifamily. So Dave, where are we moving that? We got to have a leasing office. What are we going to do with it?
So there's a big area on the property that is being used as a fitness center right now. We think it would be better utilized as a leasing office, and then with the current leasing office, we renovate that into a unit and we increase revenue.
And truth be told, tenants need fitness. It's a value. People want to work out, but this fitness center is really small. It's got like 2 treadmills and a Nordic track. It's clear nobody's using it. So although tenants want fitness and want health and everything like that, and we want them to have that too, if they're not going to use an amenity, and if it was a halfway done amenity and kind of a crummy amenity to begin with, might as well take it out and give them something that's useful, which is a better leasing office and meet with their leasing staff and everything like that. So bottom line, guys, when you're in circumstances like this, when you're sharpening up your pencil on a multifamily bid, you really want to look at, is every nickel that I'm going to spend on this property worth it? You also, last thing that I'm going to be looking at very closely, we're meeting with our underwriter here at the property. He's meeting us at the site. What can I do to keep expenses down, right, Dave? What can I do to keep expenses down on the property? Because if I can keep expenses down, by reducing water consumption, reducing energy consumption, reducing maintenance expenses by maybe making a one-time fix to I don't have to pay money to maintain it on a regular basis. Doing all those things increases our profitability, because in today's market and to get into deals, putting your best foot forward is an understatement. You got to put like another foot beyond your best foot to get it to be considered on deals like this. So to do that, you really got to sharpen up the pencil while being honest with yourself and making sure the deal still works at those numbers. So Dave, you pumped to go look at this property?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, so guys, listen, we're going to bring you with us, show you guys some vids, and make sure you watch this to the end so you guys can see our analysis after we walked it, and we'll tell you about the good, the bad, and the ugly. First note to bring up is that we knew this before, but the broker was very adamant that the seller is doing a 1031 exchange, meaning they want to sell this property and they want to take the proceeds that they make here on this sale, they want to roll it into another property and that. Now, 1031 exchanges can be somewhat complex. There's a lot of stuff on our Derosa Group's YouTube page about that you guys should totally check out if you want to hear more about 1031 exchanges. But in a nutshell, it is a way to sell a rental property, an investment property, and keep the proceeds and roll it into another property and without having to pay income tax on that sale. So you can parlay and transfer up your rental property, your sales proceeds into your next deal. It's a great way for tax leverage and for tax minimization, but there are a lot of parameters and there's a lot of timelines associated with 1031 exchanges that you need to be wary of. And as a buyer of a property where the seller's doing a 1031, we have to be very cognizant of that seller's timeline, and we probably have to be very flexible with their timeline, right, Dave?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, that was something we were very adamant about, that we have to be very adamant that we're going to work with the seller on their closing timeline. And I think that's one thing that we try and do, is be very amicable as buyers and make things friendly transactions, not adversarial. That will be very open and friendly and work with the seller on their closing timeline. So that was number one. That was our goal, to make sure we conveyed to the broker that we would be very willing to accommodate their timeline, close when they want to close, and if they want a 30-day extension. As long as it doesn't affect us financially, then we're happy to push closing back a bit to accommodate them, which is maybe good for us, because it gives us more time to raise capital, it gives us more time to do due diligence, gives us more time to get our ducks in a row and our management team in place to take over the property. So we kind of view that as a good thing. Next, we toured the units, right? They were big units, right?
Yeah, I think you're over 1,000 square feet, which is, the largest in our portfolio so far.
Yeah, very, very big, a nice galley-style kitchen. But I will say, the units were nice, but they were dated, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were very dated, and the rents were lower than, there's two other properties around the property that are charging a good bit more rent than what this property was charging. So Dave, big open floor plan. What did you see that we can do to bring this property to the next level on the inside of the units?
So that's a good question. So we're below the competition. So what we need to ask is, do we want to compete with them, or do we want to be slightly below, a more affordable option? Mm-hmm. So we can go in and do everything in these units, new flooring, new cabinets, countertops, all that. But does it make sense to spend, $7,000 and compete with the properties across the street that are much nicer with better amenities? Or do we come in and do a moderate renovation and slightly raise rents?
Yeah, interesting conversation, because Dave pointed out this property is 110 units, but it's surrounded by much larger complexes that have tennis courts and pools and lots of playgrounds and grilling areas. This complex is much smaller, doesn't have as much land, and it doesn't have a lot of the amenity packages that those other complexes have. So the question bears, Dave, right? Do we want to try and do a direct run at those competitors, or do we want to try and offer an economy option to what they have? So nice amenities, but certainly a lower price point.
Right, so we figured out that these rents are so much below market that we can do a moderate renovation, still raise them, and still be the least expensive. We came up with what's going to be called a tenant in place renovation. So what we figured out was we can go in with the tenant still living there and make some minor upgrades and changes, switch out the appliances. We can put in a low flow toilet and aerator. Now that won't really help the tenant out, but that helps us because we pay for water.
Yeah, it boosts our NOI. And other competitors, by the way, in the marketplace, tenants pay for water. because we're paying for water, we want to try and minimize that. And it's also just a good environmental move to make to try and minimize your water consumption on properties. It's just a good, responsible thing to do. And it saves us money in that. And we also get a cheaper interest rate on our mortgage if we do green initiatives. So for all those reasons, it's good to do water conservation.
Right now, I think there's 7 buildings, 7 or 8, and each building has a laundry room on the first floor, point operated. And let's be honest, if you're a tenant, it's more desirable to have that inside your unit. So we found an area next to the bathroom in the hallway to put in a washer and dryer. And these are things that we feel we can do with the tenant still living there. Don't have to wait for their lease to expire, don't have to try and evict. We can go in day one, implement this program, and when the tenant's lease comes up, we can give them this option to raise rent for these additions, or we can go in and give them the option day one.
Yeah, we're calling it like a renovate in place, and we've done that at other complexes, and we've only started doing that a few years ago because we made the mistake of needing a tenant to move to do a unit upgrade. And the problem with that is you create a vacancy, and the biggest expense you have as a landlord is going to be vacancy. Now, it's not going to be utility expenses, it's going to be vacancy in your units. To avoid vacancy, wouldn't it be nice if your existing tenant base would agree to pay you a few dollars more for a lot nicer units? So and I'm talking about like they leave for work in the morning, and they come home and they've got new appliances, new dishwasher and microwave above the stove, a new washer dryer in the closet, maybe some other amenities, right? And we knock all this out in 1 to 2 business days, right, Dave?
Right. Yeah. And let's talk dollars and cents. I know that all of you listening are probably interested in that,
yeah.
So let's just put it out there. We believe for $4,500 per unit, we can do these upgrades with the tenant still living there, paying us rent, and then we can increase the rent around $150 a month. And in addition to increasing the rent, as we said with the water savings for the aerators and the low flow toilet, we'd also be reducing expenses. Mm-hmm. We believe somewhere around 50%. So listen, the key to increasing NOI, it's not just raising rent and revenue, it's also decreasing expenses, which is what we're doing with this water expense. Yeah, expenses are the forgotten moneymaker on properties. It's more easy for people to look at raising rents to increase property revenue, but it's actually more savvy and frugal to achieve the same net operating income goal by just reducing expenses. Yeah, isn't it great to increase your NOI by not passing that along to the tenant, that burden of raising their rent. We can increase NOI by just getting better at what we're doing. There is a lot of mature, green, healthy landscaping on the outside. There wasn't a lot of color. It didn't really pop at me. So I think that maybe a few bucks in landscaping upgrades. Roofs are new, right? Windows are new. So I think that all in, we've got a really great business plan that has to do with the rocks that we want to overturn and do the things, then things we don't want to bother with. We don't want to create a lot of vacancy to go and throw a bunch of tenants out and disrupt the complex. It seems to be running very well. So we want to try and do this reno in place model that we've been successful with at other complexes, right? Yeah, and let's talk about why. Well, if you're buying a property that's 80-85% occupied, sure, that might make sense. But this property, I think, is 96% with only a few vacant units. Yeah. It doesn't make sense to come in with a plan to renovate, all 111 units, even in a 2 to 3 year time period. It just probably isn't feasible. You don't want to get into a situation where, you're evicting tenants simply to renovate. So that's why this tenant in place program makes so much sense. And the best part about that, guys, is if you try a reno in place program, you can do it at your velocity. You are not subject to tenants moving out, and that's not your construction plan. Your construction plan can say, okay, I'm going to do 10 units a month. And you go to your tenants and say, hey, listen, I want to do 10 units. If you guys are willing to pay
an extra whatever dollars, $50, $100, $150. We'll give you all these renovation packages and all these upgrades. Maybe you approach them when their lease renews. You don't have to. You can approach them while their lease is current, and you just draw up a new lease, and the prior lease gets canceled, the new lease takes steps in. We're going to adjust our numbers and put our best foot forward, and hopefully we win the deal. Bad news is they got 17 offers on this property, 6 of which made best and final, so I think the room is very crowded with other competitors, many of which are local, so I'm not sure if we're going to get it, but I am confident that we're going to put our best foot forward. Good trip, man. Wish us luck, guys. Watch us again next time. Take care. If you like this video, we've got a ton more for you guys to learn on finding deals, renovating, and real life stories of stuff of us in the field. Check these out, and do not forget to mash that subscribe button.